Welcome everybody, welcome back to the Tomb of Illumination, or welcome to those who have never been here before. You've been out there sleeping somewhere. You've come here to wake something up. So today I'm just going to talk about a few things which was triggered by watching this video on YouTube called Nigel Cheese Down the Rabbit Hole. Now, I've touched on old Nigel Cheese over the years regarding what he knew, and I personally know he's onto something, and he knows what he's talking about, because I know the physics to the flat earth, how it all works, and what he's saying is basically the same system. So this is in regards to energy, so I'm going to run over how the earth works, how we get the energy, and what the 0 point energy is they're talking about. In physics, when they mention 0 point energy, they're referring to the lowest state, right back to almost nothing. There will always be some energy there. There can be no point where there's no energy. But that's the dumbest frickin' statement. Well, they've got plenty of dumb statements in science, because they've re-engineered all the flat earth physics and make them sound good, but they're flipping idiots. If there was no energy there at all, we wouldn't be here to detect it. There'd be nothing. There's no life on earth if there's no energy. So it's a bit frickin' stupid, isn't it? But anyway, what I'm going to show you is the 0 point energy these people are talking about, and how it's possible, because our whole earth works on it. Our whole earth came from 0 point. Well, that's another thing. I mean, we've been created from creation. Can we replicate creation? Maybe not. But anyway, I'll draw you some pictures here. And so, a lot of us know that Earth is flat, and it's this inertial plane, and because it comes out of this center point, which is the 0 point. The 0 point's in here, right in the center Arctic, and here's this flat plane of inertia. It's this circular flat plane. There's a circular plane up here too, actually. There's a circular plane. There's a circular plane. But that's down and below Earth. Nothing below Earth concerns us. It's the other half of our positive field. So we're up here in the positive field, and under Earth is the negative. So 0 point energy is right there. So you can imagine, everything coming from that point. And this is where you get scientists calling it the Big Bang. So it just came out of 0 point, kaboom, bang, into this toroidal field. They don't want to go there because it takes you too close to flat earth theory. They don't want to touch on that sort of stuff. So out of there you go, boom. So it all started, it's all described in the Bible actually, the primordial deep. It's even before that. You've just got this 2D plane. But it's all about water. Our whole realm is about water. All the ancients call the whole sky water, because it's the moisture in the atmosphere. Yes. So anyway, there's the 2D plane. But then you can, 2D plane is a circle, and right here in the center. And what was happening is it just started turning due to convection, the hot and cold. So it's hard to think, because you've got to think what comes first, the egg or the chicken, and this is the same sort of thing going on here. Where do you start? Which end? So anyway, this is how, just imagine it, we'll go through this process here. So you have this 2D plane, and it just starts turning. So where's the wind or what's turning it? God knows. Anyway, But we know today the Arctic winds is the central vortex. They know all about this vortex, they just don't talk about it too much. But they mention the Arctic vortex in meteorology and weather forecasts in the States and stuff. So this 2D plane starts spinning. So it's being driven by wind, you could say. So you could think of it as a lake, water somewhere out there in La La Land is this bed of water, the lake, and it starts turning. It starts turning faster and faster, and as it starts spinning, it's a whirlpool, right? Starts spinning, it starts sucking downward, creating the vortex. Okay? Creates the vortex. And then it keeps spinning, and then in the Bible it mentions the four winds, so there's winds involved with the spinning, it's in creating the spin. And it spins, and you know, you got the black hole core here, that's a core, and it makes sound. There's sound comes out of there, that's the mouth. He spoke the world into existence, the sound came out of there. Well, it hit the right frequency. That's like the human body. We, as humans, have to say the right things. And it has to come from the right place. So you have these, you speak loving words all the time. That's your vibration. It creates this resonant frequency within you. And this is what's happening here. It's creating a resonant frequency. And it hit the perfect note. So let's say it's old grandma saying lovely things about you. Oh, you're a lovely, handsome, intelligent boy, and all this stuff. And bingo. It illuminates you, doesn't it? Makes you feel good if you're that way inclined. I never listen to anybody telling me stuff. But anyway, all this lovely stuff created at the right frequency. Bingo. It created the light, the sun, with the sun of the earth. Okay? So you go right into this 2D plane, that 0 point energy is around that hole. Okay? And then as soon as the sun was created, bingo, the moon appeared. Because what happens here is, as soon as you create this 3D, as soon as this 3D was created, and that was ignited, illuminated the sun, it at the same time created our realm. So this vortex now comes up in here, and this goes over to here, and it goes over there, and so it goes down there. Boom. But this is singularity. This is where the sun and the moon were one. As soon as this was created, it separated the female from the male. Okay? They become two, a dual world. And this is what our realm is. It's all dual. Like a magnet. Magnetism is dual. Okay? And then it breaks down again. And this is what's happening with our realm. It's just breaking down all the time, like a Mandelbrot. Okay? It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So, straight away we now have the moon down here moving in the 3D vortex, going around 14 days into the center, and then 14 days out again, comes back out here. And you can associate this with the woman's cervix. What's the other word? I can't remember. Where the egg is, the ovaries and all that. Uterus. And what does the female uterus lining do over 14 days? It forms its skin. What's the moon doing over the 14 days? Forming its skin. What does it do if you don't get pregnant? Deforms its skin. Hey, what do the Egyptians say? There's only 5 holy days in a year that the moon can give spiritual birth to man on earth. 5 holy days. Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. So this is where our existence came from. As soon as that was created, boom, out came the toroidal field. So there's your singularity back there. And up here anyway, up there, that's the singularity. And as soon as this was created, boom, Earth was created. So at the same time this was created, the moon was formed and our realm. Because it's now become dual, because it exploded out. So you've got two sides. When something goes bang, it goes out that side and it goes out that side, all the way around. This is what our flat Earth model is, you see. It's a toroidal field. A big boom blew out of the centre here. So now you've got to imagine this dual realm of ours, where you've got the flat Earth, you've got and this outer field. So there's your number one, and now you have number two. Well, where's number two? I mean, it's all the way around. It's inverted. It's been blown out. It's been blown out of the centre here. And there has to be some separation between 1 and 2. Otherwise, there's got to be a difference between 1 and 2. So we end up having this tropics. The separation between the two. Okay, and that becomes the dielectric, which represents the inertial plane. So you've got an inertial plane up here, dividing this from that. Well, in our realm, we've got an inertial plane in here, dividing that from that. And at the same time, because it becomes dual, you've got your vortex here, that's up there, and now our realms come out with it, with this. It comes out here with this. That came out with it. Okay, so you've got this one and you've got this one. So you've got to realise, there's the female, there's the male. Well, up here is the male. These are all males up here. All males up on this 2D plane. That's our ecliptic plane. They are the wandering stars. But all in here, you've got all the stars, the background stars, all in the 3D with the moon. That's Isis. Isis, you could say. Yeah, and then the other story, you've got Shu up here. Shu, they're standing here holding up the sky. And that's fruitcake. The nutty one. Newt, whatever. Shu's holding up the sky, there's Newt. And Jeb, what's he doing? Just lounging down on the ground here. Oh, having a good old time with his arms behind him. Yeah, there's old Jeb. Well, all this here creates this down here. It's all about the stars. What's going on? So, there's your 0 point energy. Okay? 0 point energy is here, the black hole. There. And what's created the 0 point energy? The sun. What's the sun? It's the spark. Oh, hang on a minute. How do we get a spark from 0 point? There's nothing going on there. Well, that's where you have to understand that there is such a thing as 0 point energy. How did you get it? Well, I'll tell you, because now we go in reverse, what's happening with the earthly system. And we find, there's your tropical gap. Tropical gap. Okay, so you've got a tropical gap. All the way around here. So you've got your Milky Way coming out of there, going over to there. And then you've got the 3D, the other end of the Milky Way coming down here. There's two ends of the Milky Way. Well, what are they doing? That's the sun we see. That's our sun now. which has come from the unseen sun that's up here on the horizon of the black hole. And the gurgler is the other end of the Milky Way. So you can draw it like that. And then you can draw that one like that. You see this in the night sky. That's the back of what we see the back of the Milky Way at night, which they call Sagittarius A. During the day you don't see any of this because of the light of the sun. So here we have the plan of the Earth looking down on it, and we have all these stars in here going around at night because they're all from in here. They're all in here. You could say that's the shrapnel from the Big Bang, if you want to believe in the Big Bang. But there was something that ignited the sun and made this go poof. The toroidal field. It's like nuclear energy. See, nuclear energy, an atomic bomb is basically doing the same thing. Because, a toroidal field, just an explosion. They've pulled the electrical away from the magnetic. They've just done the same thing here. What I call it, crack the atom, split the atom. Split the male from the female, you could say, and boom, out comes this big boom. So where we going? Okay, over here. So here's our reality, right? So there's your stars that are down in there, straight up at night into the night sky, and you see it turning because the flipping vortex turning. What's turning the vortex? The winds. It's convection. The two cold ends of the earth rush into the tropics, and that cold is rushing to the tropics. Okay, and up above you got the frickin' hot and cold going on doing their thing, and it's just creating the vortex, drawing it in. But what's really going on is because it involves cold fusion. So that warm air above the freezing Arctic is drawing all the stuff in, all this high pressure, drawing it in and creating the spin. That's what creates the whole spin. It's all self-perpetuating, self-creating. That feeds that and that feeds this. So you've got the vortex turning all the time. This is why the sky's turning, because it's all to do with the central vortex and above the Arctic. And everything around us is turning because it all comes from in here, and we don't see any of this because this is creation. We're stuck out here in this realm here. We cannot see in here. Okay? We get the images. Look up, they say. So everything out here is a reflection, projected images of what's going on in here. There's nothing physical above us, just as there's nothing spiritual below us, they say. Okay? So here's the image. So you've got your one circle there turning. This is turning. To us, it's east to west all the time. So if that's turning, and this is its dual, its sister, brother, whatever, twin, it's going to copy this. So if this is turning like this, you come out here and turning like this, it's mirroring effect out here. The mirroring all goes back to magnetism. That's the tricky one to explain, because in here is a magnetic mirror. Go look it up. Magnetic mirrors. So as this is turning, magnetic mirror wise, this is turning like this. Now if you were here and didn't move, that's your night sky. That's turning. So there's your image of the sky. But you don't see the whole thing because you only see half a cycle at a time. So it's all a mirrored projection along your meridian. So it could be anybody's. He's getting his image, his rotation here too. So this is why they tell you to live on a ball, because this all goes back to time dilation. So you take the inner northern hemisphere, right? And look, it's a lot bigger and wider out here. and everything expands out from centre north. But look, if we have a centre here mirroring what's up here, then obviously we have our own sun down here too. Everything's a mirror. Okay, there's a sun up there. And so, in the sun here, that represents time. As it's turning, everything moving, the sun moving 15 degrees per hour is giving us time, isn't it? Well, and it's mirrored out here, so time is coming out of here, and time is also coming out of here. So time dilation out to here, the tropic equator, but then time comes out of here. So now you've got to consider this coming out like this. You've got these two V's going on now, and you've seen that in enough esoteric images. Probably the other way around, whatever. Yeah, right up there. Yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, so time comes out of here now for the southern hemisphere, expanding that way. So this is what it's doing. There's your north. You expand out to the equator, which is going like that. Okay. Hold that thought. Where's mine? And then you've got someone in the southern hemisphere, his rotation's out here. Okay? So this time, 1, 2, 3, say 4 hours, has to marry in with this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. This time has to marry in with this guy's time. Now, if you do all this to scale, you know, you end up with this system going on that looks like this. It looks like this. It makes a perfect square. Makes a perfect square. Okay? Now I did this, I drew it all out for my Patreons, and I had 6 hours of time in here, marrying 6 times out here, because this is all expanded. This is, the whole field out here in the south is expanded. So, you got, like I tried to show you here, that's very small and this is a lot bigger out here. So this is a bit more contracted and this is expanded. And you get this square going on. It was just funny because I watched that video I was telling you about, Nigel Cheese, and he mentioned something about the Great Pyramid. And he means something about 6 hours. Look what he says now. The square root. Oh, it's 1/6. No, 1/6. What did he say? 1/6 of a cube. Which made me think, well, that's funny because I had 6 hours here, 6 hours in. Here we have the square, and it's 2D, right? But it's all referencing the cube. Everything about our realms, Platonic solid. So you think of the cube. But anyway, okay, so it's understanding every meridian you get the 2 suns, one at each end. And this is where their globe theory comes from, you see. Expansion and then contracting back to your Antarctic. But they're not explaining that this point here is infinite. It's all the way around here. All the way around to there. It's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there. Because there's, look, the meridian lines anywhere. Every man on earth has his own north to south. So if he could see both suns, this is what it would be like. But he can't, obviously. The sun is in many places, but only seen one by man, because it's to do with man's arc of horizon. Everything in totality comes back to man, who stands at the centre of his universe. And here we have Plato's cave analogy. You've heard all the stories about what it means, right? It's right there in your face. The sun comes from behind you, projects to the equator. The sun comes from behind you in the north, projects its image to the equator. Okay? So you're looking at the sun. But what's on the Greek images? The fire is behind you. You're looking at here at an image, at a projection, shadow on the wall he calls it, when the truth is back here. And that's deep spiritual knowledge. That's what he's trying to tell you. You need to find that truth. That's where you need to go with your mind. Okay? So we're getting a projection outside here of our personal arc horizon, and it's projected over here. It's sort of like bouncing up there or somehow. It's just look up parabolic mirrors. The projection, the image is here, and then it comes back to the observer. So he's standing here, because of concave sky, it's all parabolically brought back as a focal point in front of the viewer. It's all because of the concave shape of our toroidal field. Okay? So there's Earth, and so this 0 point energy, right? So like I was saying, the creation comes out of here, and there's 0 point. And it created the light of the world, the sun. It's electrical. And so we don't, it's plasma, pure plasma. But we don't see pure plasma. We can't see any of this in here. We get our image at the end of the Milky Way here, in the tropics there. Okay? So everything's just an image. Nothing's not an object. And it moves around the Earth. It moves around the Earth like in a curve out to the tropics. Like a clock arm. And it goes around the Earth. So as the electrical goes around the Earth, in that tropical gap, the magnetic field is forever changing. It's coming in from both Arctics. In from both Arctics like this. And right at those 2 points, bang, you get the sun. And then it keeps moving around. Like right there, bang, there's the sun. And the sun keeps moving. So there's fields. Then it comes right in. Otherwise the field's just dropping straight down here. The only time it comes straight into the sun is right at that exact point where the sun is. That's where the sun's getting its energy from. Otherwise the field is dropping at each side of each boundary line. Cancer and Capricorn. Going straight down to the ground. Okay? Then it crosses over through the ground where it finds a weaker pairing apparently, to find its way back to the opposite Arctic, and that's the recycling system. Okay. Now, this is all told in a lot of esoteric stories, and one of them, you could draw it like this. There's your vortex. There's the plane of Earth, and look, drop straight down. Straight down. But just the nearest singularity. It's created the dual realm, the southern hemisphere out here. But there's a story called the Fisher King. Fisher King. Now, the Bible, the book of physics, is about the fish. The Jesus story and the Pisces. Okay? That's why we've got Fisher here, we've got a king, because Jesus was the king of the kings, right? Because he represents the sun. Well, like I said, you've got the black hole gurgler formed. Once it came down, this formed, and then all this came out. But you've got your sun here, and it's the king. He's the Christ, okay? Now in the story, it says something like, the other dude went out and went fishing, or met his guests and went fishing. Because look, he's dropped the line straight down. Okay? That is Earth's magnetic field coming up and over and dropping straight down at Cancer to go along the ground, thou shalt go, and then up and over the field for all your days long, and then it drops straight down here, and then it flows in here and then goes up there. It's being drawn up here because of the room temperature plasma cold fusion. And here, this is our sun and this is the Milky Way coming over here. You can say that's dropping the line down too, because it's dropping the line down, leaving the castle, and then drops this line down. You can call that dropping the line down. But it's the magnetic field. Don't forget, so right where the sun is, as it moves around the earth, the field comes in, boom, and it finds equilibrium, finds a balance, and that balance is perfection that feeds the black hole father of creation, which is right here in the center. And the imbalance, the friction, it says 2 to 3, the imbalance of that 1 due to the friction creates the sun, feeds the sun. So it's all about friction. There's friction because there's an imbalance here, there's a phi ratio imbalance here, phi difference. Okay, you could say that's a 3 to 2, but or vice versa, because at the end of the day it's more condensed, there's more energy in here than there is out here on a one magnetic cycle. One magnetic cycle being, overall you could get it's like that. There's one magnetic cycle around the earth, over the earth. But at the same time, because we've got a dual system, 2 hemispheres, we've got 2 systems, because your sun's out of here, remember? Time goes back to there, and then here, he's got his like little one there, big one here. His time's back in the center here. There's his time, there's his time. See? Time dilation out to there, time contraction back to there. It's a lot bigger out here than in here. These are the feet of the sun's dilemma on the banks of the Jordan, described in the Bible, physics book. So there's a phi difference here, and this friction between the 2 fields is what creates our whole realm, life on Earth. Okay? Now I'm going to read you something. Got those glasses on already. I was asking questions referring to 0 point energy, and like I said, physics thinks 0 point energy is just right back to the the weakest point of any state. Right there can always be a little bit of energy, because if there's none we wouldn't be here. It says here, later as quantum mechanics matured in the 1920s, scientists like Werner Heisenberg gave it a deeper foundation. His uncertainty principle explains why 0 point energy exists. You can't have a system with both perfectly defined positions and momentum, so it can never be completely at rest. Wow. He's not exactly right, because there comes a time in the year in our earthly system, let's rub something out, when there is a time of the year where we get perfect balance. So let's draw the northern hemisphere. And then draw a southern hemisphere. Okay, there's a big difference like this, more or less. But, time dilation is about relativity, special relativity, Einstein's relativity, but then he goes and calls it warped space-time, doesn't he? Anyway, relativity boils down to the fact that this dilation is relative to the observer. So everybody who moves south expands with the field. It's relative to him. So he is not to know. He does not know he is going to end up being a giant out here compared to this dude back here. So anyway, there's a cycle going on in here and a cycle going on here. Because like I said, everything breaks down like a Mandelbrot, just gets smaller and smaller. So if you split something in half, what's going to happen? You're going to have to split those in half. And this is how we come to have a, right there is the North Pole. Right here is the North Pole, is the mirroring effect. It can't be out here, can it? The mirroring effect, if you take something and just flip it over, it's it there. It's not going to be out here. So the North Pole is actually 66.6 degrees. I like to say 66.5 just to freaking keep you off the track, you know, because I know what you know about this sort of stuff. Oh, that's right, we're going to talk about equilibrium. So what happens, this is stuff I only give to my Patreons. I'm putting it out there now, okay? That field there in the south, they're infinite, remember, all the way around, that's just one meridian line. One man's perspective, if you can see the whole flipping thing, which you can't. Stars are going around like that because these are going around like that. It's going like that, it's mirrored, so it's going that way. But the thing is, these stars here are moving in, going around over his horizon, then moving out. That rotation is this revolution all the way around here. So as you move around, there's going to be slightly more in it, or slightly less, whichever way you have a look at it. So that's one man's meridian. This is time dilation, out to there, or out to there, and out to there, okay? And because that's the sun where time comes from, then time comes out of here, then there's dilation like that, okay? And it's all relative to the observer. So this is where the globe theory comes from. See? Arctic to the anti-Arctic, contracting back again. But they're infinite all the way around here. So where's these contracting points? They're infinite all out here. And it's still this. And then at the same time you have to realise, you know, I've got the Arctic out here. So if you go back to your ball there, you've still got the Arctic Circle. So everything tends to come to that point. You know, it doesn't go right into here. Everything goes haywire after this point here. Okay, your magnetic field, the compass gets a bit weird out here, doing all sorts of weird things, because the whole system, you've got to think time comes out of here, so it goes like this. Oh, it's not quite. You've got to realise that's how it works. It's the Fibonacci, the golden ratio, because it comes out of the golden place. Golden ratio. So the infinite. And this is just one man's meridian. So that's his night sky. It's doing this. And at night, and this gets a bit tricky to explain. So there's the Milky Way coming out of the centre Arctic. There's the Milky Way coming out of the south. It's like that. And this is your daylight. This is your daylight. So the sun's on this side of the Milky Way. They don't tell you the sun's tucked into the Milky Way, do they? No, they don't tell you that. So there's your daylight. But you know how I've drawn that. You see, this is how it gets drawn. It goes like this and like this. That's the yin and yang. So as the sun's coming down during the day like this, when the night comes from the east to the west, it's actually, you get in the back of the sun here. And to understand that, you've got to go back to your toroidal field and the nodal points where there's a crisscross. But that's how it works. Your Milky Way's coming around convexed, while your daylight sun is coming around concavity. Okay? I'll go really deep on my Patreon with this stuff if you're interested. Yeah, so I haven't got there yet. I'm getting to the state of equilibrium. So what happens, and in religion, or the Egyptians, they state there's only 5 holy days that the earth can give spiritual birth, the moon can give spiritual birth to man. But that's only half the story, because when I say 5 holy days, you divide that by 2, because it's all about the sun's journey. Okay? So somewhere in here, there's 2.5 days and 2.5 days on opposite seasons. So for 2.5 days, what does the book say? What does a good book say about the sun standing still? Well, the sun stood still, they say 3 days, because it's 2.5, so to round it up, maybe it's a fraction more than 2.5. The sun stood still for 2.5 days, 3 days, or whatever. That can only happen when the field, the magnetic field of the earth is balanced. Right there. Because what they don't tell you is all the stars in the south here, they drift north over the year, 6 months of the year, and then move back. See, it's a circle. That's your one meridian. So if you didn't move and you stayed on your meridian, you could film your stars going like this. They eventually go right in like this. And then they come back again. But guess what? Between here and here, in that tropical zone, celestial tropical gap, is behind the veil. You don't know what's going on in there. It's like it's under here. It's like under there. You don't. Basically, it's hidden under there because there's this overlay. All the stars in the south, up here, come up and overlay the northern stars like that. And because these stars are overlaying like this, it's changing the images, changing the constellations. As the system's going around every day, it's drifting in. So this is a daily cycle, and this is the tropical cycle, tropical year cycle, up and in. That's how you get the sun down and lemma. Field going up and in and around, and then it comes back out again. So this is the sun. See, it's moving that way because the whole field is going into the north. And then it goes right around the north, as it's going around every day, and it comes back out again, back down to December. You don't live on a ball. Well, here we have, in here is 0 point energy, in another way. No, let's forget that, just call it the balance. Now that Heisenberg, or whatever his name was, just said you can't find this balance where there's nothing going on. Well, the sun stops. The sun stops, but it's behind the veil. We don't know. So in here, and somewhere in here, the sun does not move in declination. It does not move. It just goes around for 2.5 days, and the moon, I think, not moving up that way or down that way. Okay? That's the tropical year, that way. And it's to do with magnetism, the two fields, and magnetism. This video's gone on long enough. But anyway, I should quickly race over these guys here. Nigel Cheese, right? He was the one who talked about the 720 degree cycle. That's the dual cycle. I mean, there's 360 there and 360 there, but you only know of a 360 day year. You don't know about the 3D image of this figure 8, why it's this. Okay? And the way Nigel Cheese drew the magnetic field, he drew that, and then he drew this, didn't he? And everybody's laughing at him and laughing at everything he's saying. And then what are these guys doing? The quantum arena. You know, that guy talks about Mario. What's he finding? All these magnetic cycles. I haven't even touched on what this system here is basically the inertial plane through here and the two fields. And if I was to draw the energy field, I think I'd be drawing it like this. It's all being drawn in there, drawn in like that, drawn in like that, drawn in like that. And on the other side it would be coming out. So these here are represented by the gap here, the field, with the fields going like this, down, straight down, go along the ground, opposite directions, they cross over. You know, the hemispheres of our brains, they cross over. The left controls the right, and the right controls the left. Here's a new one. I mean, here's a good one. The two sun analemmas, one there, one down there. There's the celestial tropical gap. They don't show there's one every, both one in each hemisphere, and there's your sun coming out of there, time coming out of there, time coming out of there, time dilation, retraction, contraction. Oh, the sun analemma, this sun, the motion of the sun through this here affects the consciousness of the man in the southern hemisphere. Here's north, there's south. What the sun is doing here affects this man who lives in the southern hemisphere. This field here, which has a different dates at these points. This cycle here affects the brains, the conscious state of humans in this hemisphere. Believe it or not. If you want to understand more of this, go to my Patreon. I'm running out of time. Go to Patreon. Is it .com/@meta369. But you're going to have to go to Saints or higher tiers to find the truth. Okay, and thanks for watching. This is the first time I've exposed this information outside of my Patreon, so think yourself very privileged, no matter what you think of me.